Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm so excited and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I am so excited about having you join me and kind of learning about how to cleanse negative energy out of your home. I think this is really, really important, and I think it's really most important during the holiday season because we have a lot of people that come in our home and kind of celebrate with us. Sometimes we have extra friends and family for Thanksgiving, and then we have a lot of friends and activities around the holiday season moving into the new year. And this is a great way to kind of keep energy cleansed and kind of keep energy moving so it doesn't get stale or stagnant. So kind of my number one is to set new intentions in your home. Walking around your home into each and every space and think about what is the intention I would choose to put in here. Sometimes it can be, what do you want to have happen in this room? Like, think about your living room and people joining and kind of celebrating. Maybe holiday music going on in the background, people laughing and talking and communication together. So think of that and kind of setting those intentions. I always think of like the kitchen, because most people like congregate in the kitchen and so you can't hardly move, but that is a fun way to kind of celebrate. Think about all of those spaces and kind of everybody coming together. Think about them joining you in the kitchen and talking about helping, or maybe they're dicing or slicing something for you, and they can help and be a part of what's going on. But at the same time, we can also really enjoy time with them. Think about everybody communicating clearly. Think about everybody communicating with happiness and not, attacking anybody or anything like that. You want to have like the best intentions you possibly can for all of this, of kind of like, yes, this is really happening for us. We're having this great holiday season. A couple of the thoughts that I would say is kind of really good to have during this time frame as you walk through this is, my intention is to cleanse negative energy from my home. I am now choosing to increase great communication, great focus, divinely gifting amazing food to my friends and family. So we can verbalize our love for each other and supporting each other for the past year. You could also say something like, my intention is to release others' negative energy from my home and property, and to bring a feeling of peacefulness, loving, and nurturing energy to my space. Those are a couple of my really, really great ones. Kind of my number two is, what are some of the things that you could do to amp up energy, kind of getting that great energy going? So a couple of my favorites are, of course, incense. You can light this at any time. I will say kind of the ones that are really going to clear out energy the best are like burning sage. Frankincense and myrrh can kind of lighten the energy as well. Any of those that really amp up energy, kind of cleanse that out. And even dragon's blood, which everybody knows is my favorite, that can really amp up the energy and kind of cleanse things out. I will also say one of the ones that I use a lot to kind of calm or bring a lot of peacefulness to our house is dark opium, and that just kind of brings that calmness to everybody that's coming in and around. So that can be a really great one. One of my next favorites is Palo Santo. And so I would light this a few hours before friends and family show up, and kind of lighting this and kind of like walking through the home, walking around and kind of clearing and cleansing the space and allowing them to kind of burn completely. I don't have a large home, but I would do 2 sticks. I know it's like, really? Yes. I would do 2 sticks because you want to move really slowly and kind of cleanse the energy. Those are kind of some great ones as well. Next, you can kind of move into kind of using some dry herbs. This one is basil, but you could also do dried oregano. You could also do dried rosemary. I would put this into a container or a bowl and light it and kind of like just walk this around the different spaces. If people are not going to be in certain rooms, I would not do that. I would just kind of only the spaces they're going to be in, like your living room, your kitchen, any hall bathrooms, anything like that, any place where people are going to be around. I wouldn't necessarily go in and go through all the bedrooms and disrupt that energy. one of my next ones is to do is putting some, let's see, some crystals around. Now, I went earlier this year and got a whole bunch of crystals. And so setting these purposely and intentionally in the corners of the space where you're going to be at. And this can really clear out and cleanse energy really well and kind of balance the energy. Like once it's all cleansed and ready to go, this can be something that you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing to balance the energy that's still there. If you have someone in your household that has usually a little bit more negative energy, one of the things that I would do to put around kind of like wherever they sit. Usually by now you kind of know like, oh, grandpa kind of has like this negative energy to him at times. And then I would want to put like black tourmaline in that area to really highlight that space and kind of take care of that negative energy that's coming off of him and hopefully lighten and brighten that space as well. My other one is Christocala. This is one of my favorite stones that I've had for quite a while. I love it. It's got great, beautiful texture to it. If there's a space where like other people that don't really feel like they have a voice or that they have something to say, if there's something in that area, you can put Christocala in that area, and that can help balance their energy so they feel like they can say something or kind of like voice their opinions in that perspective. This is just loose sage. You could burn this at any time. Be careful because it will kind of fall off. So I always do it with like a alabaster stone, or I'll do it with I will do it with a pie tin or something like that. So it's kind of catching and picking up what's burning off in there. And this can just go into any space that you choose to. My next one is just white sage. This is one of my all-time favorites. I would say that this is probably, it's bigger than my hand, so it's probably like a 5 or 6 inch, probably a 6 inch one. I use this constantly in my house, especially in my office space, but I burn these quite often. And a lot of times people are like, what do you do with the rest of it? You shouldn't have any leftovers. You should go slow enough where this gets to burn all the way through in that space. And it's kind of a great time of year to do it because it's cooler outside, so you can open up the windows and get some airflow in there and do that as well. My next kind of favorite one is this one is rosemary and sage. And rosemary can kind of amp up kind of like new beginnings or new starts. This can also be kind of like setting new intentions if you have a new home or new people coming. So this would be a great one to kind of set those new intentions and kind of like clearing out the old. One of my other favorites to kind of bring around is putting pink Himalayan sea salt in different areas. I usually put them into crystal containers so they look really pretty and maybe a stone coming out of the top. I will do that in a couple of different areas. And then you can also kind of spread that pink Himalayan sea salt like on your rugs and carpets before you have a party to kind of clear out any old or stagnant energy as well. Kind of my last one is to use lavender buds. Lavender buds are amazing, and they are really great about kind of amping up that energy and amping up kind of balancing the energy for other people. Now, my last little tidbit in this section is pine cones. Now I know people are like, pine cones, what is that all about? So if you look at the bottom of a pine cone, it circles. And so if the energy hits it from one angle, it is going to amp it up and run it through the whole thing all the way to the top. So wherever there is negative coming in, I will really put a bowl of pine cones and having the majority of them sticking up and to amplify that energy. If I don't have enough pine cones, I will use different things. Sometimes I will use some of my sage planted at the bottom and then put my pine cones on top. That can do a great bit of kind of amping up the energy around you. These are just a few of my favorite ones. I will tell you that I love walking through my space, and I will use my cleansing bells, and I will do that as well. So that's kind of number 3, is kind of doing the cleansing bells to really amp up that energy. So kind of making a bell or that sort of thing, and kind of like not constantly, but every so many minutes or so, kind of cleansing it and kind of letting that vibration clear out can be a really, really great one for that. So that can be a really like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Now, kind of my fourth one is one of the things I really love to do is I love to kind of make my own potpourri for home. And so you can get like an orange or a grapefruit and slice those not terribly thin, but maybe a quarter of an inch or so. So slice them across so you have like that star shape. A lot of times I will put pink Himalayan sea salt on it, and then I'll put it in a low oven, maybe like 200 degrees for a little bit until it starts to dry. Probably usually about 10 to 15 minutes, so it just depends, and it may be a little bit longer for yours. I will do that also sometimes with lemon, so that can be a great one to kind of bring in that fresh lemony scent to things. You can also add some cinnamon sticks. I know in the stores you can find like pine cone scented or cinnamon scented pine cones. To me, that's too overwhelming and it's way too much for me. So a lot of times when I have my pine cone bowls out or whatever else, I'll put a few drops of essential oils on there, and it just kind of makes it lighter and easier to move around that energy, not as overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination. So that makes it not only easier on me, yet easier on the family as well. When you have your potpourri ready to go, I will add pine cones in there and add them with the essential oils. I will have them in there with maybe some dry sage, dried rosemary, or if I have fresh rosemary, I'll put that in there to kind of dry with the rest of the fruits, like the lemons and the grapefruits and oranges. And that can just add something amazing to the energy in the space. But I try not to put too many oils on it because that can just overwhelm the space. Like if you had a small space like in a bathroom, you wouldn't want to put a whole bunch of it. You can put a few items, but you don't want to overwhelm the space at all. I thank you for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.